Well, my first guest is one of my favorite people on the planet. Her enthusiasm is absolutely infectious. I've known her for about 12 years, and if you're one of the millions who wakes up every morning to watch NBC News' Today, you know her as well. Sheinelle Jones. She's a co-host of the third hour of Today, but her most important job, mom to 3 amazing kids, Kyan, 11, and 8-year-old twins, Clara and Ushe.
We can't stress this enough.
She's been a broadcast journalist for more than 20 years, starting off her career in Springfield, Illinois, then moving on to Tulsa, then to Philadelphia, where I first met her, and then 6 years ago, she landed her dream job at the Today Show. But right around the time she started at Today, she started noticing problems with her voice. She had to clear her throat often and sometimes sounded hoarse.
Just have to get it removed.
A colleague suggested she see an ENT specialist, Dr. Rosemary Deloge. A vocal cord polyp was discovered. Finally, after years of therapy and struggling literally to find her voice, Sheinelle decided she had no other choice. Either have surgery to remove the lesion or risk losing her voice altogether. In February, she had the operation. The surgery could have ended her career, but luckily for her and for us,
Miss you guys, love you guys, and I will see you soon.
It was a success. Hey, Sheinelle. Thanks for coming on.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. This is great.
Oh, man. This is like so emotional for me because, first of all, we've not seen each other for a long time in person. And, you know, I always make my trips to New York, and you and I are always doing our thing, like in a rush. And, you know, you're like my work wife. Like, you're like my trailing spouse. Like, you'll come to me with the Rachel Ray show, and you're like, what am I doing here? Why am I Rachel Ray with you? So
it's all over the place. And you know what? It's so interesting because you putting it that way makes me realize how I was able to put this surgery off for so long because like you and probably a lot of people watching, we're all moving all over the place, right? We're meeting a friend for lunch. We're picking up the kids from school. We're working. We're trying to be, you know, everything at home. I mean, for decades, I've just constantly been going all over the place. And I think this was my body's way of saying, you know what? Enough is enough. I need you to slow down. Yeah. I really do think that's what this was all about.
You had vocal polyp surgery in February. And I remember when you called me up and said, what do you think about this? And I was like, whoa, what's going on? Let's go back to that moment when you were realizing that this was something very serious.
Absolutely. So when I started the Today Show about 6 years ago, and I was hired as the weekend newsreader. And very shortly after I started, when I would go, they would toss me to read, you know, my chunk of scripts. I would go, you know, and I would kind of clear my voice. I would get a sip of water or what have you. And then I would do the broadcast, right? And week after week after week, I was constantly clearing my throat. They were bringing me tea and honey. I would suck on lozenges. You know, I'm Googling things, ginger, honey, all the things you think you're supposed to do for your voice. And nothing seemed to work. And one of my producers got in my ear one morning, it was on a Saturday, and she said, have you ever thought about going to an ENT? And she goes, I don't know if you've noticed this, but you're constantly clearing your throat. And I don't remember you before this having a rasp. And now it seems like you kind of have a raspy voice. And I thought, really? You think so? An ENT is something I never even thought about, right? So she said, there's a woman who I've looked her up. She's phenomenal. She comes highly recommended. Her name is Dr. Deloge. You should go and check it out. So long story short, I met Dr. Deloge and they did the scope down my throat. And sure enough, there was a tiny little polyp there on my vocal cord. And up until that point, I had never even heard of a vocal polyp. So then I start Googling. And then when you Google, sometimes Dr. Google is scarier than real doctors because you look at the worst. But the bottom line is, you know, I tried to avoid surgery as much as I could. I did therapy twice a week for hours a day. It was very expensive. I would wake up before the show and do exercises. It got so bad to where they would call me to do a story for the Today Show during the week. And I would wake up an hour early just to do vocal exercises so that I could get to work and track my piece without hearing a rasp. And people don't know the layout of the Today Show, but normally we come in and we voice our stories right outside of the studio. I was afraid to go over there because in the mornings, everything is so busy. And just in case my voice was cracking, I wanted to be able to redo it. So I would go across the street in another area of 30 Rock with several people who understood what I was going through, and they were patient with me. And sometimes I would have to do a track over and over and over again. And that's just not sustainable for what we do.